You might be thinking, what really happens to your CPF when you pass away? Will your family members automatically get your CPF saving? And perhaps your CPF money goes to top up their CPF account. For example, after your passing, your CPF just gets transferred into your children's CPF and not in cash. Or maybe you have made a will, so CPF should follow your wishes, right? Once you are divorced, your CPF saving will surely not go to your ex-spouse, right? And worst case, if no one claims it, the government will just keep the money. All of that sound like common sense, but every one of them is either wrong or dangerously misunderstood. And getting either one of them wrong could mean long delay, unexpected fee, or your CPF end up with someone you never intend. In this video, I'll walk you through what really happens to your CPF savings when you pass away and how one overlooked details could make all the difference to the people you leave behind. And because at the end of the day, your money is still your money, and even after you are gone, whether you are married, single, or don't have kids, you want it to go to the right person and it won't happen by accident. Now let's dive in. Most people assume that CPF works like everything else, your bank account, your asset, your will, when you pass away. But CPF is different. It is not part of your estate, which means it doesn't follow your will, even if you have one. And it's not something that your lawyer can automatically handle during probate. And that's the process of validating your will and distributing your assets accordingly. Now, since we are talking about probate, you may have also heard about something called letter of administration. So what's the difference? Grant of probate is when there's a valid will, and letter of administration is when there's no will and your estate is distributed based on Singapore Intestacy Act if you are non-Muslim, or Muslim inheritance law is applicable. But either way, CPF doesn't follow these processes. It's governed by its own law, the CPF Act. So when you pass away, your CPF savings go through a complete separate track, and that's why even people with a detailed will or clear instructions to their family can still run into problems. In simple words, your will doesn't cover your CPF. And you may be wondering, why will doesn't cover CPF? Why make it so complicated and what's going on? Well, the reason why CPF is kept separate from your estate is because it means to protect your CPF savings from creditors. That means if you pass away with debts, bank or lenders can't go after your CPF savings. It safeguards your CPF under CPF Acts to ensure that your savings are preserved for your beneficiaries. And that's also why CPF doesn't get mixed into your will. It's meant for your CPF to stay protected and follow a different process. So if CPF saving doesn't follow your will, what does it follow? Simple, it follows your CPF nomination. When you make a CPF nomination, you are telling CPF board that these are the people I want them to receive my CPF savings, and this is how I want it to be split. This nomination is made directly with CPF and it's not tied into your will, your estate, or even your lawyer. Once it's submitted, CPF will follow your last valid nomination exactly as you instructed. And yes, there is an exception, and I'll cover that in a later part. Anyway, with CPF nomination, it doesn't matter what your family thinks or your family thinks is fair. It doesn't matter what's written in your will. It doesn't matter if you're divorced unless you update it. CPF will carry out the latest nomination. So if you haven't made a nomination or haven't reviewed it in years, it's worth taking a second look, because this action determines who gets your CPF savings and who doesn't. So what happens if there's no CPF nomination? Then your CPF will be paid to Public Trustee's Office for distribution in cash to your family members. But it's not automatic. Your family will have to apply online through Public Trustee's Office to receive the funds, and the process can take up to 6 months. Plus, Public Trustee's Office doesn't decide who gets what. They follow Singapore Intestacy law, or for Muslims, the inheritance certificate. There's no flexibility and there's no guarantee that your CPF goes to the person you intend. And also, there's an administrative fee before any payout is made. So not only it is slower, and it is also more complex, it may also end up in the hands of someone you never meant to benefit. Or because no nomination was made. And that's not the only way your CPF can go somewhere else unexpected. A lot of people still believe certain facts about CPF that's simply untrue, and these mistakes can cause as much trouble as having no nomination at all. First misunderstanding, your CPF doesn't go to your beneficiary CPF. When you pass on, it is paid out in cash and is never transferred into any CPF account. Some people assume that will automatically top up their CPF with your CPF saving, but that's not how CPF works. Your beneficiary will receive the money in cash, and it's entirely up to them to decide what they want to do with it. Second misunderstanding, Divorce doesn't revoke your CPF nomination. If you name your ex as a nominee and never change it, they will still get your CPF when things end up bad. There's no way to change that outcome. CPF will follow the nominations on record. Dispute may arise. Family can end up in long emotional fight. But as far as I know, CPF will still follow nomination. The only solution is simple. Update your nomination whenever your life circumstances change.
Like wills, CPF nominations are not revoked in the event of a divorce, as we recognize that the CPF member may still intend to provide for the ex-spouse and children from the marriage.
Third misunderstanding: if you make a nomination before getting married, it's no longer valid. CPF will automatically cancel all nominations the moment you get married. Why? Because you have formed a new family nucleus and CPF expect you to review and decide who really matters. If you don't make a new nomination after marriage, you have no nomination at all, which means your CPF will distribute strictly according to intestacy or inheritance law. Fourth misunderstanding: if no one claims your CPF, the government will just keep it. Well, not right away. First, it goes to Public Trustee's Office, which distribute according to intestacy or inheritance law. But if there's no surviving eligible relative, yes, the government may eventually get the money. If any of this caught you off guard, and that's the point, because your CPF doesn't go to where you think it will go, you have to tell it where to go, and it starts with the next step. Do a nomination. So how do you actually take control? Well, make a CPF nomination. You can do it online through My CPF online services or in person at any CPF service center. You need 2 witnesses. They must be at least 21, mentally sound, and not your nominees. If you are doing it online, your witness also need to have SingPass for authentication. You can nominate up to 15 people in the nomination form. If you want to appoint more, just head down to CPF Service Center. The process is free, and your nominee doesn't need to pay anything when claiming your CPF savings after you are gone. I'll leave the official link in the description below. It's not complicated, but it does take intention. I repeat, it's really not complicated, and I strongly suggest you do your CPF nomination now. Because at the end of the day, your money is still your money. You work for it, you save it, and you deserve to have a say where it goes. Whether you want to protect your family, support a loved one, or simply make sure that your wishes are honored. Whether you are single, married, divorced, or remarried, the rules are clear, but the risks are real. And it starts with nomination. By the way, I did another video on what happens to your HDB flat after you are gone. You can watch it here. My name is Kenneth, and I'll see you on the next video.